English as a foreign language. Some of us might need to take it in the future for certain purposes. TOEFL itself has two types. There are TOEFL PBT and TOEFL IBT. PBT stands for paper-based test, where you do the TOEFL in a piece of paper. And the top score that you can get for TOEFL PBT is 677. While for TOEFL IBT, IBT stands for Internet-based test, where you do the TOEFL in the computer. And the top score that you can get in TOEFL IBT is 120. Today we are going to discuss TOEFL IBT. In TOEFL IBT, there are 4 skills measured: reading, listening, writing, and speaking. In this video, we are going to focus on the listening skill. The listening skill in TOEFL IBT, it has 3 sessions. The first one is 30 short conversations, and then the second one is some short dialogues, and the third one is a couple of monologues. So there are 2 types of listening materials in TOEFL IBT: conversations and lectures. There are 2 to 3 conversations about office hours and service encounters, and there is going to be 5 questions each. And there is also going to be 4 to 6 lectures about arts, life, physical, social science, with 6 questions each. The time is going to be 60 to 90 minutes with the length of 4 to 6 minutes each. Now we are going to gist questions and details. Alright, now you are going to look at this screen. Gist questions are questions that ask about the overall ideas of a passage as a whole. It has 2 types. The first one is gist content, and the second one is gist purpose. Gist content, it is asking the subject, topic, or main idea of a passage, while gist purpose, it is asking the overall purpose which a passage serves. The gist of a passage may be directly stated in the passage or indirectly, that makes you need to synthesize information from different parts of the passage for understanding the overall gist. Now we go to gist content, and this is probably how the question will look like. What is the topic of this conversation? A. Choosing majors at this university. B. When comprehensive exams are given. C. Why final exams are comprehensive. D. The exam requirements for a specific major. And the tips from us is that to use your notes and eliminate choices that do not fit when you try to answer this kind of question, gist content. Then how about gist purpose? This one. Why does the student go to see the advisor? A. To take an exam that he missed. B. To discuss what his major should be. C. To learn about a requirement for his major. D. To change his major. Then the tips that we would like to advise you when you try to answer gist purpose question is that to identify the original reason of the conversation. Why? Because the reason of a conversation is not always related to the conversation's main topic. Therefore, we need to make sure that we identify the original reason of the conversation. Details. This question type might have 1 correct answer or even 2 correct answers. Then how to identify it? Well, it's commonly worded like the followings. According to the professor, blah 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 blah, what is stated about blah 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 blah, why was X important, and etc. But you don't need to worry because there are some methods that you can use to answer it. The first one, listening for repeated information. Many detailed questions are based on information that the professor has repeated for several times. Therefore, you will need to pay attention to any repeated ideas or definitions and make sure to write them down in your notes. Then number 2 is to listen for expressions that introduce details, such as this is important, blah 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 blah. You might want to write this down, and that it's really important for you to understand something like that. And then number 3 is to watch out for exact word matches. What I mean is that correct answers for detailed questions in TOEFL IBT, they usually contain reworded information from the lecture or conversation. Be cautious about answer options that contain the exact wording from the listening, as they may not include the information that the question is asking about, that the question is asking for. And then number 4, if you are not really sure, then make a guess related to the main idea. Detailed questions often ask about supporting details for main points. Then if you are stuck, choosing the answer option that coincides with the main idea in the listening, it might be a good guessing strategy.
Hi, I was thinking of changing my major and was hoping you could help me.
Okay, why don't you tell me what your current major is and what you're thinking of changing it to?
I'm a digital arts major and I kind of want to change to biology.
All right, is there a reason you want to switch?
Well, I really love animals, and if I switch, I could spend more time with them.
Would you consider a career as a veterinarian then? Or are you interested in marine biology?
I don't know. I didn't really think that far. Both of those sound good though.
That's fair. You don't need to have those answers right now, but it's smart to be thinking about how switching your major can impact career possibilities.
That's a lot to think about.
You're right, it is, and I don't want to overwhelm you, but you don't sound like you're fully committed to the idea of switching yet, so I want to make sure we look at this from all angles.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess.
Can you tell me what it is you're worried about?
Well, my friend was telling me that biology is pretty hard, so I don't know about that.
A lot of people worry about that, so what you're feeling is normal. And I want you to know that for some people, yes, biology is really difficult, but plenty of students really excel. Also, it's important that you know that it's only possible to change programs in the first year, so there is a time frame on this.
But how do I know if I'm one of those students that will excel?
I recommend that you do more research about being a biology major. Really find out as much as you can so that you can make an informed decision. It could be that once you have more information, you'll think you really can succeed.
That makes sense, but I'm not really sure how to research it more. Like, just go around talking to people?
You can make an appointment with the head of the biology program. Administrators are always happy to speak to students, especially when it means helping students in their college career. We all want to make sure you're on the right path for you. It wouldn't be good if you did switch over, but then realized you didn't like biology and wanted to switch back.
Okay, so I'll do the research and then try to figure things out.
Great, that sounds like a solid plan. Remember that you can always come back and talk to me if you think that would help. Also, it can be a good idea to talk the idea over with your family.
All right, I'm sure I can do that. Thanks for all your help.
Good luck.
Bye.
Okay, so what is your answer? This one is a detailed question. In this question type, you have to do a little bit of synthesizing. Remember, the student says, okay, so I'll do the research and then try to figure things out. Therefore, the best answer is to do some research and then make a decision on what to do next. Answers A, C, and D are incorrect because there are no plans for what is best for the student. We can tell that the correct answer is B, research the biology program so we can make an informed decision.
Okay, for the next is about understanding organization, question, and relationship between ideas. In this session, may ask about how different ideas in the passage are related are usually not stated directly. need to draw a conclusion, and then predict an outcome, make an inference, recognize sequence, and determine the cause and effect. The possible questions in this section are: what is most likely, what is implied, and what can be inferred. And then for the tips, listen carefully and take notes, and then how the points are, relate and draw a conclusion. And the next is about may ask about how the ideas are organized, may ask directly or need to fill in a card, needs to understand the main points and how they are organized or not only one detail. The possible question will be found in this section are how the information in the passage are organized, and then why does the professor discuss, and then how does the professor organize the information about X that he present to the class. And the last is about tips. When listening, think of how the points are organized and then take notes, or you may use bullet points especially.
So we have reproductive parts, the seeds, the fruit walls. We have leaf parts, but the great majority of the plant fibers come from the vasculature within the stem, fibers that occur in stem material. And what we do is consider these fibers, basically they're what are called bast fibers. Now, basically bast fibers are part of the plant that the plant uses to maintain vertical structure. Think about it this way. What's the first thing you see when you see a building being built? Or what's the first thing they put up besides the foundation, of course? The metalwork, right? They put up all those steel girders everywhere. It's the framework. Okay, so basically, bast fibers constitute the structural framework to support the stem of the plant. Okay? So, as the plant grows, it basically builds a girder system within that plant, like steel, so to speak. So, suppose you cut across the stem of one of these plants. Take a look at how the bast fibers are arranged. So, you're looking at a cross section. You'll see that the fibers run vertically side by side, up and down next to each other, forming a kind of tube, which is significant. Because which is physically stronger, a solid rod or a tube? The tube. Physics tells you that. What's essentially happening, the plant is forming a structural ring of these bast fibers all around the stem. And that shape allows for structural rigidity, but it also allows for bending and motion.
Alright, so this is a question of understanding organization. Remember, the lecture is about plants and plant fibers, not steel girders. The professor mentions the steel girders only to compare them to the structural framework of fibers in a plant. This is the professor's attempt to help the students visualize the plant structure. This is a very important digression actually. Then we can tell that the correct answer is D, to illustrate the function of fibers in a plant stem. Okay, now we come to pragmatic understanding. When we talk about pragmatic understanding, we talk about two things, function and speaker's stance. Function, it is the purpose of saying something, the reason why the speaker says that something. While speaker's stance, it is the attitude towards a particular subject, the speaker's feeling about a particular topic. Now, understanding function, it does not deal with the words that are said by the speaker, but it deals with the information implied by how the speaker says them. Some things like idioms, slangs, etc., they are often not directly relevant to the questions. Understanding function. So, the possible reasons may be apologize, explain, clarify a point, change a topic, indicate a change of opinion, etc. Then the answer options are usually to plus infinitive. For example, to make a point about, to give examples of, to ask about, etc. And this question type can be identified by the followings, like why does the speaker say or mention this? What does the speaker mean by this, etc. The function may not match exactly the same as what the speaker says. Therefore, you need to listen carefully and think of the reason why the speaker says a certain thing. And we also have other strategies here. The first one, listening carefully to the intonation and stress, distinguishing between the literal and pragmatic meaning language, then watching out for rhetorical questions, and paying attention on repeated words or reword information. Now we come to understanding speaker's stance. So, the possible feelings or attitudes may be positive or negative, happy or sad, enthusiastic or bored, etc. This question type can be identified by the followings. What can be inferred about the student? What is the professor's attitude towards X or towards something, etc. And the tips that we would like to suggest to you is to pay attention to the voice tone. And the strategies that you may like to apply is to listen to what is said in the context and how it is said. Then you can draw a conclusion.
Well, good. So, the bookstore isn't working out?
Oh, the bookstore's working out fine. This pays almost double what the bookstore does.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, plus credit.
Plus credit.
And it's more hours, which the bookstores, it's a decent job and all. Everybody I work with, that part's great. It's just, I'm shelving books and kind of hanging out and not doing much else. If it weren't for the people, it'd be totally boring.
So, this is a question of understanding speaker's stance. In this question type, it may be easy to confuse the speaker's attitude towards her job with her attitudes towards the people she works with. The student is bored with the job, but not with the people she works with. Therefore, we can say that the correct answer is B. She likes them.